Hello and very good morning. I hope I'm audible. Can I just get a feedback? To everyone out there, I would just like to know whether I'm audible or not. Okay, Praveen, I can see that you can hear me. I just hope others can also hear me. Okay, a very warm welcome to all of you. Thanks for coming here today on a Sunday morning. I appreciate your coming here to know more about permaculture. So, I welcome you all to Introduction to Permaculture. Now, I have got another setup onto my left. So, if you see me turning here and there, that's because I'm just seeing whether things are all working fine or not. So, don't think I'm getting distracted. It's just to keep a check on the YouTube watch page so that if ever I lose a connection or something of that sort, I want to be a bit careful regarding that. Now, uh, mm, okay, I can see a couple of more people joining in. That's good. Yeah, a warm welcome to all those who have joined just now. I can see Divya Anusha who has joined in. Warm welcome to Sai Kumar Garu, Kumari Garu, Perati Tota, that is Uttam Garu, and Praveen Tigla Garu. So, thanks a lot for joining in. And as the time progresses, I hope other people also join in. Uh, this recording is going to be available in DVR mode, and that means that you can watch the presentation right from the start. You might log in later on, but you can watch it right from the start. If you are watching a recorded version of this video, I would highly suggest that please do watch it from the beginning because there is a lot of case building that happens, and if you just watch it from the middle, you might not be able to understand the depth of it. Okay, so how I have structured this session is that I'll be speaking to you about introduction to permaculture. I'll be talking about what permaculture is, the need for permaculture. Then I'll be slowly driving you towards what permaculture thinking is all about. And towards the end, what I'll do is I'll be talking specifically about the PDC that we are going to conduct, that is Gardens of Abundance is going to conduct. And I'll be telling the salient features which are specific, which are special in our PDC, what you don't find in other places. And towards the end of it, we could have a small Q&A session. So that pretty much would be wrapping up the session. So let's start. Okay. Now, most of you would be knowing that we have made great technological progress, right? So most of who have smartphones, you would probably be knowing that we have in our hand the computational power that sent Apollo 11 to the moon. So the smartphone that I have and the smartphone that probably I think most people nowadays have, it has a kind of computational power that can really perform miracles. So, in the last 100 years or so, especially since the Industrial Revolution started, mankind, in a certain sense, has really advanced because we had in our control an enormous source of energy. So instead of doing manual work, we could bring in machines, we could bring in factories, and we had all types of mechanized things working for us, and we rapidly progressed. We really, really progressed very fast. And so you see advances in medical technology, you see advances in processing power, you see advances, there are technologies like nanotechnology, and we are actually working at atom scale in many different fields. And in a particular sense, it seems all rosy. So it seems that, yeah, this is the height of civilization, and probably we can go only higher, but we can never go below, because all around you see, especially in cities, you see lots and lots of gadgets. And even if you go to the farm side, you see most of the things being done by mechanized means. So you have harvester, you have tractor, and you have all sorts of things that at your disposal. And that starts giving you a picture that uh, this is what human life is all about. This is the kind of progress that we want. So we have flat screen TVs, and if you just look at the evolution of TVs itself, you'll see that earlier we had a small black and white TV, then it became a big color CRT TV. Now we have flat screen TVs, plasma TVs, and you just look at any nook and corner, and it seems that, yeah, this is uh, technology. But this technology has come at a price. And this is not what people usually talk of in mainstream media. You don't see these kind of things being talked of in popular media. You don't see these kind of things being discussed even in social media. So the point is that nobody really wants to talk about the cost at which this progress was achieved. Right. Now, you wouldn't call it progress, right? That if you were moving 2 steps ahead and coming back 3 steps, would you be calling that progress? Surely not, right? Because net gain is -1, so that is actually going back. So, what has happened is that under the disguise of progress, we have actually left a trail of devastation. Let me just show you my first slide, which would bring that into good consideration. So, now, I hope you can see this slide, and this is what has actually happened. So, we've got land that has become barren, good cultivable land where things used to grow, now that has become barren. Right. So, that is what you see on one side. Then you see pollution, loads and loads of pollution coming out of factories and going into the air. And you see poverty, hunger. So, when we talk of civilization really having developed, what do we mean by that? I mean, what did we actually change? We might be surrounded in our um, cozy, comfortable houses, and just because we shut our eyes, that does not mean that the world is becoming any better, right? So there are places where the land is absolutely uncultivable, and I keep on telling about how a country like China, which was having a surplus of 22 million tons of wheat, 10 million tons of wheat. Now, in about 6 years, it wants to get in. That is, it wants to import 22 million tons of wheat. So that means there is a deficit of 32 million tons of wheat. What happened? Did the population really grow up? Or did the land that was available become useless? So you see, what is happening is that under the garb of technology, we are having all these sorts of problems which we might just close our eyes to, but really doesn't go anywhere. So it's a very common scene that you go outside and you see too much traffic. You see so many cars being piled up, especially on a Monday morning or during the evenings. If you are staying in a place like Hyderabad, you would have seen the kind of traffic that you have at certain junctions. Now, having too many cars is one thing. I can discuss about that a bit later. But the point is, what is happening to the air? Now, when people say that air is getting polluted, the kind of mindset that people have is that, yeah, air is getting polluted, environment is getting spoiled. Now, you are not separate from the environment, isn't that? You are not separate from the environment. So, if the environment is getting spoiled, you are actually taking in that air. Right? It is not as if, yeah, something wrong is happening and we need to sympathize with it. It is actually us who are breathing those kind of toxins, those kind of pollutants. Now, what kind of progress is that? Right? Now, in our homes, we want AC. We don't like any kind of dirt being there, and we have vacuum cleaners and all that. But our streets, they are filthy. You've got garbage all over the place, and you have pollutants. There is all sorts of pollutants. You have water pollution, you have air pollution, and all these things are affecting us. So to think that, yeah, environment is something separate, and that is getting polluted, so probably we should do something. No, that's not just what we need to understand. We need to understand that we are a part of environment, and that environment is getting spoiled. It is directly affecting us, not indirectly, directly affecting us, because every day we are going out, we are there in the heat of the summer, and even now, when we think that winters are approaching, it is pretty hot. And do you know that most of the chemicals that we have in the air, they become much more reactive at higher temperatures, right? Now, what does that do? We are breathing in those kind of things, and we are also eating such kind of things, right? So the vegetables and the fruits that we are eating, they are all laden with pesticides and fertilizers. So, and we have still not solved the problem of hunger. Actually, if you go back and look at the history, the problem of hunger was not so desperate, and there was enough food, and probably there was some distribution issues, probably, but there was not this kind of mass scale hunger that we see today. So, if you look at it from this point of view, how have we become better? Okay, it is with this question, right? Because right now we are in 2014, and we are seeing the glimpses of um all this, the devastation of technology today, or probably for past couple of years, maybe a decade or so. But a couple of people, they saw it happening, because most of the things happen first in the Western nations, because they got industrialization earlier than us, and they started using all kinds of mechanized things. So two gentlemen saw this actually happening in 1970s, and I'll just introduce you to those two gentlemen. So these are the two gentlemen, Bill Mollison and David Holmgren. These are the two people who saw what is actually happening. Right now, Bill Mollison and David Holmgren, uh, they are both co-founders of what we call permaculture. So Bill Mollison, he has probably done it all. He was a forester. He worked in the sea. Some work with sharks. Then he worked in the forest as a forester. Then he was uh, also became a teacher at a university, University of Tasmania. So he worked with aborigines, and then as a teacher or as a professor in University of Tasmania, he wrote down three volume treatises on aborigines. So this person has a chance meeting with David Holmgren, and if you know something about mysticism, you know something about Tao. It was like yin and yang meeting. Okay, Bill Mollison comes across like an outspoken extrovert, and David Holmgren comes across as an introvert, although the pictures look a bit different. Okay, so that is just for contrast. So these two people, there was a rare chance meeting which happened. Okay, now it was probably destined to happen, and they met, I think, in 1970s, around 1974, they met, and they simply found out that both of them were thinking on the same lines. And I mean, just imagine you are walking outside and you meet somebody and you find that he has the same thoughts that you have. What are the chances of that? Pretty pretty slim, right? So it was that kind of a uh, rare chance occurrence which happened, and probably sparks would have flown, and within 2 years we had the word permaculture with us. So they jotted down their ideas of what is happening and what needs to be done, and they wrote a book called Permaculture 1. And that probably would be the first formal introduction of a term called permaculture. And later on, Bill Mollison and David Holmgren, they both worked, and finally they could put permaculture into a form where it could be widely dispersed. And both of them also started teaching what permaculture is. And one stranger could have been Bill Mollison's student. He said, "Bill, do you know what you have done?" And Bill was like, "No, tell me, what have I done?" And he says, "You have actually found hangar where all human knowledge can be kept." So, permaculture is what? Where it is actually a collation, a collection of all human knowledge kept together in a particular way. So, this particular way was found out by Bill Mollison, is what we can say. So, ever since that point of time, permaculture started getting its recognition. And this is a bit of a history of how permaculture started. Now, let's come to the question of what permaculture is. So, of course, if they have written a book, they would have defined what permaculture is. And mind you, there was a slight evolution in how they understood permaculture over the years. So, I'll show you the first definition as given by Bill Mollison. Okay, so what is permaculture? Well, Bill Mollison says permaculture is a philosophy of working with rather than against nature, right? So in permaculture, we are working with nature. Keep these things in mind because we'll be repeatedly recollecting them and finding out how permaculture works. So permaculture is a philosophy of working with rather than against nature, of protracted and thoughtful observation, right? Rather than protracted and thoughtless action, of looking at systems in all their functions rather than asking only one yield of them, and of allowing systems to demonstrate their own evolutions. Now, this seems to be quite a mouthful, right? Uh, Praveen says my image is frozen. I seem to be, my watch page seems to be okay. Okay, right. So, permaculture is a philosophy of working with rather than against nature, of protracted and thoughtful observation, right? So, we are putting in considerable thought before doing thoughtless action. So, we don't just act, we observe, right? And of looking at systems in all their functions rather than asking only one yield of them, and allowing systems to demonstrate their own evolutions. Now, this is what Bill Mollison says, and this is probably the definition he would have given somewhere in 1980s and 1990s. Now, David Holmgren, who was also his student at that point of time, he has given a definition which actually brings to fore another aspect of permaculture. And that is, permaculture is consciously designed landscapes which mimic the patterns and relationships found in nature while yielding an abundance of food, fiber, and energy for provision of local needs. People, their buildings, and the ways in which they organize themselves are central to permaculture. Thus, the permaculture vision of permanent or sustainable agriculture has evolved to one of permanent or sustainable culture. So, what is permaculture? Permaculture can mean either permanent plus agriculture, or it can mean permanent plus culture, right? So these are both the definitions which we need to keep in mind, and as we go on, you'll start appreciating this much better. Okay, I think you would not have seen the slides. Now, these are the slides. This is what David Holmgren says, and this is what permaculture is. Right? I hope you can now see these things. So, Permaculture starts as a design philosophy, right? That is what permaculture is. It is a philosophy of systems thinking, right? It's a thinking methodology that you have. It is not just doing something. So in permaculture, you are having both the aspects. You are having the thinking aspect as well as the implementation aspect. But more importantly, you are thinking. You are not just acting, you are thinking, you are designing, and that is the way in which permaculture actually proceeds. Right? So you have seen two very, although similar but a bit different definitions of permaculture. Well, that's what permaculture is, because what happens is uh, permaculture, lots of definitions are there, lots of people have their own interpretations of permaculture, their own way in which they understand permaculture, right? But there is one thing which is really special, really unique to permaculture, and probably I have not come across this kind of a thing in any other discipline, and that is permaculture is based on ethics. Now, how many of you know disciplines which are based on ethics? So you see, permaculture is not just a mixed bag of strategy, or it is not just some kind of a template or some kind of a cookie cutter, right? I mean, you have this problem, do this, or it is like this, do this. No, permaculture is about understanding the nature, seeing how nature works. That is what is called, that is what was referred to when Bill Mollison says that you need to work with nature. Then you have to observe. I mean, you need to have observation constant so that you can understand what nature is doing, and also so that you can see how it is responding, right? And David Holmgren goes one step further. He says that permaculture can provide food, fiber, and buildings. Okay, so roti, kapda, or makan, right? So that is what the point of permaculture is. So I was talking of problems in the beginning, but you see, permaculture is very positive, right? And permaculture actually sees a problem as a solution. So it's not about complaining how the situation is, but it is about understanding how a situation is. So what happens is that there are some scientists who say that see, humans have created all this problem, right? So I was talking of how land has become barren, and how we are having man-made deserts and pollution and all that. So let's say we just take out humans from the equation. What happens? Can nature uh, take its own course, and can it start improving on what is happening? There are some scientists who say that unfortunately we have tipped the balance in a way that active human intervention is required. So permaculture, what it does is it completely brings back the focus onto the humans, right? And it says that you are responsible for the future, your future as well as that of your children, right? So you are responsible for it, right? It does not accept complaining, it does not accept shifting the responsibility, it does not accept any of the things that we usually see from other systems, like okay, if this thing gets solved then only we can do this, or this needs to be okay, otherwise we can't solve something. No, nothing, none of those things. When you embrace permaculture philosophy, you are actually saying that I am responsible for what is happening, and that I am going to usher in the change, and I am going to bring forth that change which is going to set things right. Okay, and just to make sure that these kind of things are not open to multiple interpretations, because see, what happens is we have a law, but it has multiple interpretations. So what happens is you simply cannot. I mean, you would have seen lots of movies, and you would have actually heard of lots of cases in newspaper where the law simply can't do anything because that's how it is framed, right? So if you a need to make, if you make it a bit lenient, then certain bad elements also can flow across. You make it too hard, what happens is that good citizens also get trapped. So you need to have rules framed in a particular way where they are subject to interpretation, and once they become subject to that, what happens is that it's anybody's game, right? So what Bill Mollison and David Holmgren did was that they looked at how different communities were working, traditional communities, because as I said, Bill Mollison was working with Aborigines. So Australian Aborigines, he was going to tribal communities and finding out their mode of governance and how they were organizing themselves. So with that, he came to find out that they were essentially following a few guidelines, right? So he made sure that permaculture also has this guidance. Okay, so what he did was he and Holmgren, they framed certain ethics. Okay, now let me show you those ethics. So these are the three ethics, and this perhaps is what makes permaculture so valuable not just for humanity but for the entire earth. So the ethics start with one. The first one is care for the earth. So you need to um, provide provision for all life systems to continue and multiply. That is, you need to husband soil, forests, and water. Now, I was showing you a couple of pictures at the start. I was talking of how land is barren and pollution and all that. Now, did you notice that uh, most of the problems that we have are because of abuse and exploitation of land, right? So mechanization, when it started, unfortunately, it started with the abuse and exploitation of land. So what started happening? You started having land which could not say, be cultivable, right? And people started cutting off forests because they required the wood as fuel. Then what happened was you had multitude of industries and other things coming up who were unfortunately, or who are still unfortunately, not really looking at things in a very holistic way. So what is happening is we are having polluted soils, loss of forest cover, and polluted water. Right. So the first important ethic that permaculture talks of is that care for earth, provision for all life forms, all life systems to continue and multiply. So whatever activity you do, you need to ensure that there is care for the earth, right? And that is precisely what got missed uh, from the time industrial revolution onwards, which um, created the ruckus that we are in today. So the first thing is care for earth, and why I am stressing on this is because the other two ethics actually follow from that. So the second ethic is care of people. So you have to look after self, kin, and community, right? So provision for people to access those resources necessary to their existence. Now, the earth is one, right? Couple of humans get together and I draw some kind of lines or probably shade it and have their fun. That does not make mm, earth get divided, right? It's just our concept of earth which we feel has changed, but the earth in itself is equal to each human being. So you need to understand, we all need to understand that uh, there should be provision so that whatever is necessary is provided to all people. So, where is the chance of hunger? Now, in some places, you have food being thrown away, food being wasted, and in some places, you don't have food, right? So, what are we doing? We are actually denying somebody his natural right. Now, whether the law says that or not is a different thing, because nature takes its own course, which could be pretty different from what law textbooks say. So, This is another thing that we need to remember, that yeah, care for people. Ultimately, people are life forms, so care for the earth takes care for the people. But we need to also look into this angle, so that we are not denying any person, need not be just from our community, but could be anywhere, his right to what he requires, okay, to what is necessary. And understand, the word being used here is necessary, okay. uh, Now, the third ethic, fair share, right? This is also called return of surplus. That is, set limits to consumption and reproduction and redistribute surplus, right? What does this mean? Well, this means that once you start getting the surplus, surplus is what you don't require. Okay, so once you start getting surplus, make sure that it gets shared, right? So both these points, the last two ethics, that is care for earth and return of surplus, they actually uh, flow from the first ethic, that is care for the earth, right? So these ethics really make permaculture something really powerful, and they give uh, it a they give it that last touch of brilliance that the two architects of permaculture, that is David Holmgren and Bill Mollison, did. Right. And Bill Mollison and David Holmgren go so far as to say that there cannot be any stable society, stable social order if there is no permanent agriculture. Now, those are, I mean, powerful words, right? You cannot have a stable social order if you don't have permanent agriculture. So we are already seeing that happening. So I was talking of how certain countries are having deficit of whatever the requirements of food and other resources are there. So what is happening? Even India, for that matter, is going to countries in Africa and taking their land on lease, 100 years, 99 years lease. And what are they going to do? They are going to grow food there. Now, people there are starving, and our people go there and they start doing farming there with the same destructive methods which actually spoiled the land here. So, what are we doing? Right? We are creating a very unstable social order. So somebody in Africa revolts, what happens? We don't get food. That's what starts happening, right? Because as I said, it's not like we need to sympathize with somebody else's cause. This is our cause. This is not something which we are doing for others. And that is what I really love about permaculture, because it squarely brings back the focus on to us, right? Onto me, onto you, because we have to take responsibility. It's as simple as that. And David Holmgren says that to have your requirements met, requirements of food, fiber, and settlement being met, what do you require? You require permaculture, right? And what do we do in permaculture? We look at natural systems. See, just imagine a forest on one side, okay, and your typical commercial farm on another side. Okay, now what do you see? You have a forest where nobody goes and puts any fertilizer, nobody goes and kills the pest, right? And nobody needs to go there and water, no drip irrigation, nothing required. Forest is a self-regulating system, right? It has its own rain. So when you come here and you come here to learn about permaculture during PDC, you will be coming to know a lot more stuff about how forests really work. And once you look at a perfect system, you simply wonder, why are my farms not being like that? Because regularly fertilizer is sprayed, you require regular shots of pesticides that need to be applied. And in forest, suppose you have too many animals, I mean, you have lots of animals, you have birds, you have insects and all that, we call it biodiversity, right? You have that on your farm, we call them pests, right? Rodents, pests, and see what the change in mindset that we have, right? I'm not condemning broad scale agriculture, it is required, but there is something that we are missing, that it has become such a big issue for all of us. They say that agricultural industry is supposed to be one of uh, the worst possible industries in terms of wastage, in terms of inputs that are required. Can you imagine? I went to a farm in Produttur, uh, which is in Andhra Pradesh, and a normal farmer was spending 40,000 rupees per acre on a rice paddy farm, right? For what? For getting his pesticides and fertilizers and other stuff. So you see what is happening? We are creating a system where uh, how much ever we do, it is not enough. So a person who was using one bag of fertilizer today comes in and puts in two bags. He comes in tomorrow probably three bags, and there is a never-ending thing. So we are not trying to make systems sustainable, right? So what do I mean by sustainability? I mean that you are not able. Just take the case of a car. We keep on putting it petrol, it keeps on giving out pollution. So every time I have to put in money, I have to put in petrol so that it goes forward. Suppose there was some mechanism that probably car generates its own fuel, right? The fuel gets exhausted, it comes out through exhaust pipe, and probably that again becomes fuel. Now, how would that car be? Wouldn't it be awesome? You would never have to go and refill it, you would never have to spend any pi on it. It would basically be working for itself, right? It would be regulating itself, it would have become sustainable. Whereas, whatever you see, any industry that you see, and especially agriculture, is so heavily dependent on external inputs that it has become virtually impossible uh, to get it out of those clutches. And simply, people are not able to realize that this is one-way street going down, not going up, right? So this is something which permaculture talks about. It talks about sustainability. So you look at a natural system and you see how everything is interconnected, right? And how, based on that, no specific intervention is required. The system is able to take care of itself. Now that is a huge achievement. What other system, what man-made system do we have which can take care of itself? Everything has a problem. Everything keeps on requiring constant maintenance, constant looking out for, and definitely inputs, which can cost quite a lot, right? So this concept of having ethics is what makes permaculture really special, because there are probably other types of systems thinking, but permaculture is based on ethics. So you don't have any bad science which is happening here. And you can go so far as to say that if you have um, your ethics right, okay, if you are doing any activity which is able to take care of earth, take care of people, and take care of giving back the surplus that you have, that is permaculture. Keep everything rest aside. If it can fulfill these three criteria, that's it. What you are doing is permaculture. Now just try to think of how many things can you do. Probably none if you don't really know what we are doing. Right, because most of the times what we are doing is detrimental to one thing or the other without our realizing it. Right, so I am today able to talk to you only because of the advances which have happened. I'm very conscious, I'm very clear of that fact. And even the founders of permaculture are very clear on that. It is not going back to stone ages, it is about understanding, regulating our needs in a sustainable way. So I'm talking to you today and I'm able to give you out good stuff. At least I hope so. But somewhere, for every megabyte that is being transferred, right? This much amount of coal is being used. Now, we've all learnt um, basic science, and we know that it takes quite a few years, probably thousands, millions of years to get coal. And for coal to come, you actually require something which can give it the carbon, which is the trees. So you don't have trees. Are we making any coal? Nope. Right? So you see, we are in a really catch 22 situation even now. So uh, that is why it becomes really important for us to understand what we are doing. It's not just I have an access to internet, I can do anything. Because somebody out there is working hard for you, and nature has been working hard for you for the last billion of years, or whatever the time scale it might be, right? That is why this thing is achievable. So simply put, nature is giving you this much amount of coal. How best can you use it? Now think of how best you would want to use it after knowing this information, right? And this is the kind of thinking which is completely lacking in any department that you that you think of. It is this kind of uh, knowledge is not taught, it's not discussed, nobody really bothers about it. It's like, I'm getting my share of water, that's okay. I mean, yeah, the same thing with environment. Yeah, there is some problem somewhere else, let's sympathize for that cause, that's it. No, it's not. It just doesn't work that way. Okay, so uh, the extent of permaculture, that's why, is huge. It's really huge. So when although I have given you a couple of examples from agriculture, don't get into your mind that permaculture is only agriculture. Permaculture is a design thinking. Unfortunately, food today is a very, very, very big crisis, and that's why its application in the food sector, in the agricultural sector, is the most required. But if we are not cautious in other departments, we would have the problems in a similar fashion in other cases also. So we need to understand uh, the design aspect of permaculture. Now, David Holmgren has made a beautiful flower, right? I'll show you that flower, and it is called the permaculture flower. This is the permaculture flower. So you see, this flower, it's a flower. It also represents a spiral, right? A spiral which is going out. That means it is increasing. We'll call it a positive spiral, right? So at the core of permaculture are ethics and design principles. I have talked about ethics. I'll be talking about design principles pretty shortly. So what do you have? You have uh, permaculture being applied, being a part of building, being a part of tools and technology, education and culture, health and spiritual well being, finances and economics, land tenure and community governance, land and nature stewardship. Now, for those who don't know what stewardship is, that means you are only responsible, you are not the owner, right? Because once you get into the mentality of ownership, the wrongful side of ownership, what starts happening is that people start thinking that, yeah, this belongs to me, I can do whatever I want to do it. No, simply no. You need to do, you need to be responsible for yourself as well as for your kids. So if you are not taking good care of something today, what are you going to give to your kids? And again, don't be too short-sighted. Kids does not only mean my kids or your kids, it means the next generation, right? You are responsible for yourself as well as for the next generation, right? So you uh, can see that permaculture gets applied all all across, right? Because it is the mode in which you think. You are putting in a design thought, a design philosophy. So I usually call permaculture the science as well as the art, because there is a theory as well as there is practicality. And because it involves design, it makes you creative, not just mechanistic. So you have left brain, right brain. So it puts both of them into function, and it takes into account the ancient traditional wisdom, right? And it also takes into account the modern progress that we have done, right? So don't think that modern progress is considered to be no. You need to understand, you need to use it, as I said, sustainably, right? And there are another couple of more terms that permaculture talks of, and that is resilience, right? Let's say there is a drought in an area, right? There has been no rainfall. You see the farm, you immediately know that there has been a drought because nothing is growing, right? The animals are suffering, and basically just by the look of the farm, you know that yeah, it hasn't rained properly. But you look at a forest, can you make out? Not the first year, not the second year, maybe 5, 6, 7, 8 years down the line, you might see that oh yeah, there has been some kind of a severe drought for continuously for a couple of years. Why? Because forests can regulate themselves, they can take a few bits of shocks but still come back, right? That is called resilience, right? This is important, right? uh, suppose there is a skinny person going on the road. It's a busy road, so somebody just shows him, he falls on this side, somebody else comes, he falls on this side. Will he ever reach anywhere? Or can he even survive where he's standing? But you consider a well built person. Somebody comes and hits him. Maybe he just slightly moves away from his position, but yeah, he can bounce back. You know, that bouncing back, that coming back to equilibrium, which is there, which is so essential, and which you see in natural systems, is unfortunately missing wherever we have man-made enterprises. So even agriculture, which should have the benefit of having nature on your side, because ultimately you are growing plants, and yeah, you do require nature for that, is something which just can't take shocks, right? So what starts happening? You have a drought, there's a problem. You have a flood, there's a problem. So you are actually requiring a very controlled uh, conditions for your crop to come. And that's why when you start being mechanistic, you have to be mechanistic the whole way. You have to be mechanistic the whole way, and you can actually see the progress because people are now starting to. It has become commonplace even here. People are growing things in polyhouses. So basically, we are really not bothered as to what happens outside. Now, that might be really good in certain circumstances. That might be a requirement in many places. I'm not questioning or denying that at all. But what I'm saying is that you would still need to provide the external inputs which are increasingly becoming short. So, we don't have things working in our favor at all, right? So you are having to put in energy, put in inputs, and do lots of stuff. No, that those kind of systems are very difficult to maintain. At each and every step you need to be there, and because nature has its own way, probably the correct way, we have to say it's the correct way. What happens is that you would be fighting nature at each and every place. Right. And once that starts happening, you are on a slippery slope, as I said, and you are going down. So, permaculture applies to everything that you can think of. Simply, everything you can think of, permaculture applies, right? And uh, as I was saying, permaculture, at the core of permaculture are the ethics and the principles, right? So now, let me just talk about one or two principles so that you simply can get a gist of what permaculture is. Now, one of the principles of permaculture says that integrate rather than segregate. Okay, now uh, this is I really love this permaculture principle because all through our lives Even in our lives, we are always trying to segregate, always trying to segregate. So you have various departments, there is or various disciplines. So you have electronics and communication, you have civil engineering, you have electrical, you have architecture, you have all these diverse fields with absolutely no relation to each other. Not actually, but that is how it is presented. What would a electronics and communication engineer, which I am, will talk to a civil engineer? What is there to talk? So you see, what happens is that increasingly we start compartmentalizing uh, disciplines, and that gets really ingrained in our thought as well. And once that starts getting ingrained in your thought, what happens is that you just can't look beyond that. So every time you look at something, you you will only see it performing a single function. So let me give you a quick example. I have this book in front of me, right? Now, as soon as I say that this is a book, what comes to your mind? If I say it's a book, that means, yeah, there's something to read in that book. If you are interested, you'll read. If you're not interested, you'll not read. That's it. But is that all? Is that all about this book? Right? Now, this book, or any book for that matter, can act as a table weight. Can you or can't you? You can, if your papers are flying here and there because you switched on fan. By the way, I have not switched on fan here. That's why I'm just wiping off sweat. You can keep this as a table weight. You can use this as a table weight, right? But is that the picture which comes to you when I say a book? Maybe to a few students that comes, but usually that doesn't come, right? Because we are always trying to look things individually and attaching a function to them. Right. Now, book weight is not the only thing that I'm talking of. Right. There are other uses. I mean, just try to brainstorm in your own mind. Right. Now, this book, if I hold it long enough, if I'm carrying it up and down, this can act as a good source of bodybuilding because it can act as a good weight. Right. So I can probably use this as a weight for bodybuilding, weight as to prevent things from flying off, right? Then I can also use it as a writing pad, can't I? I can put a piece of paper on it and I can actually start writing. Okay, now let's go further. Can you think of anything else? We can burn this book if required. If you require fuel, you can burn this book. Paper can be a good fuel, right? You can, because paper is a insulator, right? Because paper is also an insulator, you can actually use this book for switching on or off those switches which you think can give you an electrical shock, right? Now, you understand what I'm trying to drive at? I once went to a magic show. Okay, it was a science magic show, and the person who was there, I really liked what he did. What he did was he took a piece of paper, right? He said, uh, "What is the? Is this paper strong?" He said. So usually you don't associate paper with being strong, right? How do you consider a paper? Uh, you think that you can, the paper can easily be shredded, so it is not going to be as hard as metal, or probably you can, it is going to get torn pretty easily. That's what you have in your mind, right? When you look at a paper. What he did was he simply took the paper, folded it like this, okay? In this way, he folded it. He put it around the arm of a chair, right? So a chair has arms, and that was a steel chair. He put it around its arms and he lifted the chair with this. Now, can you associate paper as a means of lifting weight? No, right? So this is the kind of deconditioning that permaculture starts promoting. You, I mean, I'm thinking of, I gave you an example of this book, and I just can't stop thinking of what more I could do with this book. I could probably use it as a pillow, can't I? Right? I can probably use this as a weapon. I can throw it on somebody. It would be a pretty good weapon. Okay. And like that, there are lots of functions that a single element can do. And this comes again from permaculture thinking, right? So, to consider an element in permaculture, everything becomes an element. Plant becomes an element, your rocks become an element, your laptop would be an element, my headphones would be an element, so my specs would be an element. So, you look at each element and you try to see all the functions that it can do. You may or may not use it for those functions. Okay, uh, that is another thing. But you need to understand in all the ways that you can use it, right? So what permaculture starts doing is that it starts opening up your mind, and Edward de Bono talks of lateral thinking. Well, in permaculture, it is actually ingrained because otherwise you will never come to the right answer. It's very difficult, right? So, let's take another example. Now, in uh, in India, most of the people have overhead water tanks, right? So, I'm assuming that most of you would also be having overhead water tanks. Now, as soon as I say that it's a water tank, the picture that comes to your mind is, yeah, it's a container for holding water, that's it, right? Full stop. What more? Nothing. But once you start thinking in permaculture way, that's not all you think of, right? Now, uh, the immediate use of having a water tank on top of your roof is that it is going to provide you the cooling effect on the room down below. So it is a cooling element, right? Now this doesn't strike you that immediately, right? But is that it? Can we go another step further? Let's see. So you could probably grow some kind of algae there, right? Which could help you in water purification because the water that comes from borewell contains lots of salt. Especially in our area, it has become too salty. And I'm also suspecting that there could be contaminants which have gotten because I have got a water purification plant of a very dirty river pretty close to my house. So, by introducing certain kind of algae, you could actually lock up those chemicals into the body of the algae, right? So your water tank is not just a container for holding water, it also becomes your own watering water purification system, right? Is that it? Can we go further? Well, if it is made of concrete, right, or if it is made of cement, you could probably use it for keeping something else on top of it. Probably you could be keeping a few pots on top of it, right? And if it is made up of plastic, then it could be a very good trellis. So your plants could climb over on top of it. So you see what I'm trying to drive at? I'm trying to tell you that don't look at an element as a single function. An element needs to be looked in all its beauty, in all the spectrum. You really need to broaden the horizon and start looking at things in this kind of perspective, right? So permaculture brings this across beautifully. So when I say integrate, don't segregate, is that all that I mean? No, no. You can further do it. I was talking of how you are segregating the different functions. No, but different elements can work together. Actually, they should be working together so that you can get a better output, right? So I do lot. I mean, I am involved in rooftop gardening. I have a garden on top, and we regularly conduct classes on rooftop gardening. So I'm just dying to give a few examples from there. Now, what happens is, if you see agriculture as it is right now, you see the same crop being grown over acres, acres, and acres. So you have a whole belt where people will grow only rice and nothing else, right? Now, what does that do? You observe any vacant piece of land outside your house, right? And the one which nobody is bothering about. I mean, nobody's walking on it or doing anything with it. You'll see weeds coming up, yeah? Uh, Unfortunately, as permaculturist, I would not call it a weed, but yeah, for general understanding, let's call it a weed. Now, even in weeds, you have a lot of diversity. You have different types of grasses growing. You have different types of other plants coming up. You don't have just one weed growing all and all. That is not nature, right? Nature likes diversity. Nature loves diversity, and this is what you see uh, all over the place wherever you don't have human intervention. So you start creating these monoculture. Mono means single, culture means cultivation. So you have a single cultivation. What starts happening? You are working against the nature. So you see, repeatedly we come back to that definition which Bill Mollison gives, that don't work against the nature, because in permaculture we work with the nature. So here, because you are working against the nature, what starts happening is, first thing is that you will start getting different types of weeds. So what do? You want to get rid of those weeds, so you start doing tilling. Okay, so far so good. You can't really help it. Once you've made a choice, you have to carry it all through. Then what starts happening? You start getting pests. Okay, you start getting pests. So you have to use pesticides. Now, why are you getting pests? You are getting pests because you are actually providing it a very good place where it has got all its food really laid out. A pest comes, and with whatever detection mechanism it has, it could be infrared, it could be something else, and it sees that, yeah, okay, this is completely rice. I can just establish my household here, and my kids and then other generations can have harvest. They can have their own types of bountiful harvest, so let them enjoy. So because of that, you need to put pesticides. Now it doesn't really stop here, because what starts happening is that nature will start creating the type of pests which are now resistant to this pesticide. So what do? You put in more pesticides, right? And after a certain point of time, you have to increase the potency, so you have got even more and more killer pesticides coming out. So suppose you get a harvest which has no pesticide attack, and you feel really happy. Oh, yo man, I didn't get any pest attack, and my farm looks all good, all lush green and all that. Well, that simply means that even pests didn't want to eat that. And what do? You start eating it. So what sort of a tragedy is this? We are eating food which even pests don't want to eat. So I can't reiterate it enough. I usually make the statement because it really needs to start hurting our ego. We really need to start understand that we are eating something which is partly petrol, partly pesticides and fertilizers, and maybe a bit of nutrition which has already died down. So the food that we are eating would be having maybe a few more nutrients than what a cardboard has, and at least cardboard is not infected with pesticides, and what we are eating is infected with pesticides. So in permaculture, what we do is we try to bring in diversity, right? We try to look at natural systems. I was telling you how weeds are there. You go and start looking at forests, and you see a lot of diversity, right? So, and I was talking how forests are resilient, how they are self-regulating. So you see that, okay, forests have diversity. So can I introduce that diversity? Right? So on our rooftops, what we do is no, we don't have any monoculture. We try to introduce as much diversity as possible. We try to create as many micro habitats as we can. We try to create a niches so that we allow the nature to start taking control. Right? So what do? We uh, we will have pests. That is but a natural cycle, right? But we don't stop it there. What do? We try, because we don't really attack the pests. What happens is the nature starts setting into motion the prey predator cycle. So what does that do? You have prey predator cycle. So predators are going to take care of pests. There's going to be another predator for the predator, and you have the stability of a natural system. Right? So that kind of a narrow-minded thinking that I'm only going to grow one type of crop. No, that is too much of an effort. Actually, in permaculture, we call, I mean, if you have to do the work which could have been done by nature, yeah, we call it work, we call it hard work, because nature would have taken care of that, right? So, you allow the natural cycles to set in a place where you don't really have to intervene beyond a certain extent, because you've already set nature onto a path which is favorable, which is according to the natural principles. It is conditioned, it is definitely conditioned to human needs, because humans are definitely the most dominant and powerful species. Okay, so we really do need to take care of humans, as I was saying, care for the people, but we do it in a way where uh, you are not having to disturb the other life forms, right? So we try to introduce diversity, and this diversity, meaningful diversity, okay, not just any type of diversity, because just because I say diversity and you have, let's say, a dog in your house, and I say, man, you should have diversity, and you bring in a tiger, what is that going to do? Probably going to eat you, right? So no, that's not what I mean. I mean that there is a meaningful diversity which helps each element, and to the total of the system, it gives it the resilience, because things are interconnected in a way which uh, provides you the stability. The whole system becomes stable because there is interconnectedness. Right. So let me show you another slide which talks more about that. Okay. So this is a small diagram that I have made, and I have named it web of interconnections. So each circle that you see in front of you, right? Each circle that you see in front of you is an element, and the lines represent how an element is connected to another element, right? So the more the number of connections that you have, right, the more the number of connections that you have, isn't it pretty obvious uh, that more the stability you have, right? So suppose at your home you have access to both borewell water and municipal water, right? So even if municipality is not able to give you water, you still do have water coming from your borewell, right? So if you consider these as two different elements, they are doing the same function. Did you get what I'm trying to say? Earlier I was saying that each element should be able to do multiple functions. So I took the example of this book, and I was saying that how it can do lots of functions. Now what I'm saying is that if you have a number of elements trying to do the same function. So the same function is that you want water. Now you have your borewell pipe which is doing the same thing. Then you have a municipality pipe that is doing the same thing. And if you are intelligent and really conscious, I mean earth conscious, Gaia conscious, you would probably be doing rainwater harvesting. Right. So what happens is, Suppose you lose your borewell connection. So what happens in summers is that usually the water table will go down. Definitely it will go down, and you might not be getting as much amount of water as you would be expecting to get from your bore. And municipality is also not able to give you water, but still you have rainwater harvested. So what does that do? You still don't lose access to the water. So you have water at your home, at your disposal. Why? Because you were able to provide a good number of what is technically called redundant connections. But in permaculture and in nature, that is what gives you the resilience. So now you understand how you get resilience and how we try to get resilience. You have multiple elements, right? Multiple elements like your municipality pipe, your borewell pipe, and your rainwater harvesting setup, all giving you water. So one of the connections snaps, no problem. Your web is still secure. So now let me just show you the figure again. You will understand it much better. So this is the web of interconnections that we have, and I have particularly marked two connections. I have made them bold so that they are a bit clear. So in the violet I have a capital A, and in red I have capital B. Now you look at the connection B, it is connected to two elements. The one of the element is just connected through that single connection B to another element and to the whole of the web. Now what happens if B gets snapped? If B gets snapped, that element can't do the function that it was supposed to do. Right? It is not connected to another element, and so its function gets disturbed. Whereas you look at onto the other side, A gets snapped. Nothing happens. That element is still connected through the other surrounding connections, right? So what happens? A few connections get stressed and they get tested during extreme circumstances. That is maybe a really huge guy shows you, right? No issues whatsoever. You can bounce back because you have got enough number of connections. But you are skinny, as in the connection that you see in the red, that is B. No chance. It is going to take some time. Until that point of time, that element, unfortunately, it cannot do its function. So that is how in permaculture you bring in diversity, you bring in meaningful relationships, right? And you bring in resilience, right? And resilience is what is required today. You look at the situation, you have uh, lots of issues. You have global weirding happening. Nobody knows what is happening. Some people call that it is global heating and melting of ice caps and all that. And then you have tsunami, then you have cyclones, and you have El Nino effect, and all those things happening with such rapidity that it has become um, scientists have started to call it global weirding. I mean, they don't know what is happening, so they are calling it weird. We don't know what's happening, so we are going to call it weirding because nobody knows what's going to happen. Is there going to be another tsunami? Is there going to be another cyclone, Katrina, or some other name? Right? So really, we don't know what is happening now. A natural system is not going to be affected. However, man-made systems which simply are not understanding from nature and having natural resilience, well, they are going to go bust, right? And a few days back, I heard a very good news. Now, I'm not sure whether I can take it as granted, but some of you would be available with what genetically modified organisms are, and that GMO crops are being touted as being the answer to all the food problems. Well, a seed is still a natural being, right? You have modified it at a genetic level, but still it's a part of the nature. And what has happened is that by, and I'll use the term screwing up of the genes, what has really happened is that even GMO seed is not able to withstand the effects of nature. So until and unless you are able to provide it the kind of conditions which are appropriate, and in that sense I mean abnormal conditions, unnatural conditions, it is not going to give you crop. And I felt really happy. I felt really happy. Why? Because even if people are trying to put in GMO things and they are not going to come out, that's okay. No issues. If it is not if it is not food grade, that is okay, right? Because I mean, of course, we need to stop it much before that. But even if it comes to that stage and it is not giving any yield, I'm really okay with it, right? Because you already have hybrid seeds, and it's not discussed, but your hybrid seeds will work only well with fertilizers and pesticides. So you have conditioned that seed that it is not resilient. There is a study by Rodale Institute. Rodale Institute has been doing a study on organic farming for a couple of decades, and they have published their own research papers. And they say that the quality of the seed, which is generally being used, which is what is being provided to farmers, that is what is being marketed, does not have the resilience, does not have the stability that your naturally selected seeds would have. So your local cultivars, the ones which were saved by farmers for centuries, are going to perform much better when put under stress, right? So you want to go organic, you want to go natural, understand that you need to have those kind of seeds, right? And once you have those kind of seeds, be rest assured that the plant automatically has some kind of defense mechanism built in, because it has survived lots of droughts, lots of floods. Whereas most of the uh, varieties that you have today are pampered, really pampered. So you have a kid at home who's really pampered. He would be finding it difficult to get into an army school because he is not used to that kind of discipline. But any normal kid, yeah, can take a bit of shocks and still come out pretty nice, right? Okay, so you put a pampered kid into a bit of discipline, and no, he can't, right? So in a similar way, the seeds that you have are pampered, right? And once you have seeds which are pampered, they are asking for some conditions. You are not able to provide those conditions, they are not going to do it your way, it is their way, right? So that again brings back the focus onto being natural, and therefore on permaculture. So this is this web of interconnections that I was talking to you about. Now this web of interconnection, the more that you have in any system, you have the benefits, right? And it is not something new, but it is just that beyond certain disciplines nobody talks of that. So in computers, if suppose you are a data backup manager, you would be having lots of backups, lots of distributed backups. You are providing diversity. I think there's a rule called 321, and that actually talks of the kind of diversity that you require. So you are making online backup, you are making off-site backups, then you are doing on-site backups as well. So what is that redundancy helpful in? This meaningful redundancy. Okay, redundancy, if it is wrong, I mean if it is wrongly implemented, is a energy wastage, it's a resource wastage. But if done rightly, especially because your each elephant is not just performing the same function. So it's not like you have three taps connected to your tank, right? I mean, you could do that, and you could say that if one tap gets choked, you have the other two taps, but they are not really doing much. Okay, you need to probably have storage tanks, three storage tanks getting water from different sources. Now that, although seems redundant, I mean for the lack of a better word, but that is what gives stability. Having three taps would not really make much of a difference. So we are looking at that meaningful redundancy, and that starts giving you the stability and the resilience. So In permaculture, we are always talking of diversity. So when we set up our rooftop gardens, we are providing diversity. We are providing companion planting. We have plants growing together with each other. We have flowers so that they can attract the pollinators. Then we have certain plants which naturally repel the pests. So, and as I said, we are trying to establish a natural prey-predator cycle, and that's why a garden can be healthy. Otherwise, you just have to shift from chemical pesticides to organic pesticides. No, we are looking at a system which is sustainable, and when I say sustainable, it is on its own, right? Nobody need to go and say or make it sustainable. Once it is sustainable, and it should remain sustainable, right? So that is what we try to do. Now, till now, I have discussed about what permaculture is, right? So you've understood a bit from what David Holmgren and Bill Mollison, uh, two wonderful gentlemen who have given us the basis for organizing the whole of human knowledge into the creation of human settlements, right? This is what is another aspect of permaculture, which unfortunately I'm a bit sad to say that even permaculturists miss out. Permaculture is about creating human settlements. So, uh, there are permaculturists who can green the desert, right? They can go, and there have been projects, there are ongoing projects, there have been successful projects where greening the desert has happened. They have gone to conditions where there is water less than 10 inches, there is a rainfall less than 10 inches, less than 30 centimeters, and they have been able to grow things there, and in a way where the system slowly starts getting sustainable, because you need to understand that many of the things that we have are man-made deserts. There are places on earth which were really having bountiful what should I say, harvests, right? There was a lot of lush greenery, and people used to call it, yeah, the granary, because so many things were growing there and all that. And now they are in ruins. Nothing grows there, no settlement there. Maybe it's a place of tourist attraction, but nothing more than that. Now, how did we come to that kind of a situation? Abuse and over exploitation of land, not just exploitation, over exploitation of land, right? So there are places, those man-made deserts can be reclaimed. So there are people, permaculturists, who are going there and greening the desert. They are making it agriculturally productive, but that is not mm, permaculture in itself. We can create stable financial systems, we can create stable societies, we can create uh, uh, we can have water distribution systems, we can have as I said, financial systems, we can have waste collection systems. So we are looking at creating a human settlement. That's why permaculturists are the world's largest aid organization. We go to places where governments can't, where others can't, and we go and restitute and try to provide settlements for people who are displaced. We have a special manual on internally displaced people. We uh, put all our information, all the ancient techniques and traditional wisdom, and whatever advancements we are having as a part of modernization, and we use it to the best effect when we go there. Why? Because we are designers. We can use things in ways where it is difficult for other people to understand. So, permaculture is for the people who went there when tsunami hit Andaman and Nicobar. When you had, I think it's Hurricane Katrina or one of those, and it stuck, I think, Louisiana. I'm not too sure. But it was permaculturists who could go to those kind of far-flung places where it is difficult for government to come. right? So we go to such places and we are able to recreate, re-establish human settlements. So we can establish human settlements from start, human habitats from scratch. So that is what permaculture does. It's not just, as I said, a mixed bag of strategies where uh, this is the pest that you are having, use this. No, we design in a way where it is ecologically sustainable and economically profitable, as Bill Mollison puts it. So we can do lots. We are not just restricted to any one aspect, and that's why I was showing you the permaculture flower. And the more disciplines we have access to, I mean, the more areas which are we can exert our influence, well, the better we can make the system. So if we can exert our influence only to an agricultural farm, okay, we can definitely design that. But suppose we have probably monetary policies, if we have a say in that, economic policies or social policies, we can truly design abundance, right? And this is what is permaculture thinking. Right. This is uh, this is what is really required, and this is what you get out of a permaculture design certificate course. It empowers you to start looking in this broad fashioned way. So, as permaculturists, we might be specialists in some areas. Now, I am an electronics and communication engineer. I have done my undergraduation in that. So, I might be a sort of specialist in that. But as permaculturists, we are generalists. We understand the dynamics of the whole equation. And in that way, we steer the course, we steer the boat towards the correct path, because we are trying to mimic natural patterns. We are taking the strength from nature. We are looking at nature, understanding that, and trying to bring into focus what uh, needs to be done right now without losing all the progress that we have. So let me discuss another example, and let's see how much you can participate in that, because that is the sort of permaculture thinking that gets implemented. This is the kind of thinking that I got uh, once I finished my permaculture design certificate course, because I started looking at systems, I started looking at things in a much different way. Right now, let me show you another slide. Now, this is a flower, right? And immediately as you see it, you can see a pattern, right? Now, human beings are really good with patterns. If I say 2, 4, 6, and I say what, and I ask you what comes next, you would be able to answer that pretty fast, right? You will say 8. I hope you would have said 8 in your mind, but we can see patterns pretty easily, because that's how our brain functions, right? And whenever we see something out of pattern, something out of place, your brain can immediately recognize that, right? So it is an inbuilt, probably defense mechanism, uh, that you can actually look at something and figure out that, yeah, no, something is not right here. So that's why you have songs, you have folklore, and you can really remember that, by heart that. But I give you a small answer in history or civics or geography and ask you to mug it up, and no, it simply becomes difficult. But I put that in a song, and your brain can actually start registering it, right? So lot of traditional knowledge, traditional wisdom was passed on through songs and folklores and hymns and chants and all that, right? So that's why you see a pattern in that. And Bill Mollison says a beautiful thing: There are songs, and kids are taught those songs in tribal areas, and following a particular song, they can reach any place. So in the song itself, you'll be having some kind of indications that after you have sung it till here, you would be seeing a tree, and as you go further, you'll be seeing a path and all that. So those tribal people, unfortunately, it looks like some kind of a derogatory word, but they were really advanced, right? So they were passing on information, wisdom in a way where it was uncorruptible, right? And something which made real sense. So they were not like us trying to mug up whole loads of information only to forget it. So I have by hearted lots of stuff in my schooling days. You would have done probably in college, and even in your professional life. And simply that knowledge doesn't come to you when you really want it, and it's not really applicable. But they were you able to use patterns. So thinking of patterns, I'll show you another pattern, right? Because patterns also, it's a integral part of permaculture, and you'll be learning more about that in your permaculture design certificate course, because you see patterns all around you, and even in behavior there are patterns. So even in your social establishment there are patterns. So let me show you a pattern. Now let me call this as a star pattern. Okay, so you have a yellow dot in the middle, and you have the rays, either you could if you are looking at the sun, you would probably feel that they are coming out, but in this case they are unidirectional arrows, bidirectional. So not unidirectional, bidirectional arrows. So they represent uh, a place where people are going and coming, right? So all people assemble towards the center and they again disperse, right? I hope you are able to understand this. If you are considering the central yellow dot as a structure, right? You have people who are coming there and they are going back, right? So consider that central dot as a library. Okay, so you've all been to a library. You go to the library, you come back, and the library stays there. Basically, whenever you want to read some kind of a book, you go to the library and you come back. Now library is a really good place where you could have lots of different types of books available, and individuals don't need to buy, because suppose you have some kind of a reference textbooks, you won't be requiring it through and through, and you won't be requiring it throughout your life. So those kind of things could be expensive, and having it in library makes it publicly available. So it's a good thing to have library somewhere centrally located where people can go and come back, right? Now that is a pattern. Unfortunately, um, you have many structures in a society, right, where this pattern is there. Okay, so let's take the case of a supermarket. Okay, now it's the same case, right? You stay in your house, you go to the supermarket, you get what you require, and you come back, right? You have malls, you have lots of establishments in a city where people go and come back. Now, suppose I look at the case of a supermarket, right? And I try to apply permaculture thinking to it. Okay, now how would I do it? So let me show you another slide which will make it clear, right? So I have a supermarket in the center, and all around it, right? All around it, I have mm, violet boxes. Now those violet boxes represent the apartments. So if you look a bit hard, you will start seeing that those are apartments, right? So don't mind my graphics. So what we are seeing is that there is a supposedly centrally located supermarket, and people from many different apartments are going there, getting what they want, and coming back. Right? So till that, this picture is pretty clear. So people from different apartments come out. Each one gets into his own vehicle, goes to the supermarket, gets takes what he wants, pays the bill, and comes back to his house. Right? Now, uh, the first thing that I would do is I would observe, because observe and interact is one of the first design principles in permaculture. So I would first observe, okay, what is happening? There are people living in the apartment having more or less similar requirements, right? I mean, most of the people are eating the same stuff. They are eating rice. They are eating the same kind of vegetables, similar vegetables, and wheat and other things. So people are eating the same kind of things and going to the same supermarket and coming back. So probably they are also preferring the same brand, right? Because usually 1 or 2 rupees will not make much of a difference, especially in things like grocery that you have, right? So people are going there, coming back, eating those things, getting those things back, and cooking it. Each person goes in his own vehicle. Now, something isn't right. Okay, this is an example which my mentor Dwarkanath told me. He's there live in the chat. The Great Indian Rooftop Garden. That's him. And I really loved when he said this. See, people are going to the same uh, supermarket, right? Probably buying more or less the same kind of things. Now, is it really required that everybody goes there individually? Suppose in your house, everybody cleans all the rooms. That's pretty redundant, right? I mean, you don't require that kind of meaningless redundancy, right? So everybody goes and cooks lunch, cooks food. Everybody does everything. No, no, no. Something is wrong. Something is wrong here, especially when you are looking at it from the perspective of going to a supermarket and the kind of wastage that is involved because of time and other things. No, no. Once you start observing this, you see that no, no, no. There is the web of connection simply is not being so correct here. You could have uh, one person, or probably 2 or 3 people from the apartment who could go and get the stuff, because probably everybody is requiring the same thing. You might one might require a few different vegetables. Okay, now that is okay. You could probably have a small app, or you could just send it on WhatsApp or on Facebook that, yeah, sir, if you are going, please get these vegetables. And you could have a small table tabulated and just sent across to a few people who are going there. So, an apartment of having 100 households, I think probably 3 or 4 people going in their cars would have solved the whole matter. Is it or is it not? Right, your cars are pretty much capable of holding 400 to 500 kgs easily. So even if you required groceries, not just green grocery, you could have done that, couldn't you? So looking at the slide, it could have been this kind of a slide where, yeah, 1 or 2 people are going to the supermarket and getting the things back. You really don't require so many people going to the supermarket and coming back. Right. So um, there is another principle. Yeah, that is try to bring in the least change for the greatest possible effect. So let's see that I have made a change which is not too big. right? Because you are staying in an apartment, you are already a part of a community, and since you are a part of that community, you would be depending on other people anyway, so you really won't be having a problem with the kind of groceries and other things that they would be getting, right? So that we need to think. So what have we achieved by uh, doing this? Okay, so earlier everybody was coming down, going in their own vehicles, right? And trying to get the same things. Now you have delegated the responsibility to a couple of people. Now, what is the effect of that? Let's see the effect of it. Now, the first effect, the direct effect, is uh, earlier, let's say about 100 people were going out to get vegetables. Now you have probably only one or two people going out to get vegetables, right? So you have decreased the number of vehicles on road by quite a few percentage, right? So for every 100 vehicles which were there, you have probably brought it down to two or three, right? Maybe not so less, but yeah, still you have really brought down that figure. At least for this purpose, it is not really required that too many people go. So you have brought down the number of vehicles. Now, automatically, if you have brought down the number of vehicles, you have brought down the number of the amount of pollution that is created, right? Now, uh, because you have brought down the number of vehicles on the road, you are also decreasing the wear and tear of the road. Is it not? Right. So your roads, um, uh, be it concrete roads or be it your normal roads, those black roads, black tar roads, they are designed for certain wear and tear. Now you are decreasing uh, the the wear and tear of it because you have reduced the number of vehicles. So that means your roads are going to last longer. So that means you are bringing down the infrastructure cost, are you not? So whosoever is getting the roads done for you, the state government or the municipality or the R&B division, now they have to invest a lot less because the roads are being used less, right? Now, because you have decreased the pollution, you have decreased also the chances of getting affected by that pollution. Now, what does that mean? That means you have probably brought down your healthcare fees also, because you are going to get a lot less sick if you are breathing cleaner air, right? As I was saying, environment is not something somewhere else. It is right here. And you can't say that, okay, pollution just stay in that area of Secunderabad. No, no, it is going to travel all the way, right? Uh, some of you might not be knowing the nuclear reactor problem which is happening in Fukushima in Japan, where the reactors actually burst. I mean, because of the earthquake, they actually opened up. Now, that is going into the atmosphere and it is going to travel all the way. You can't really stop the atmosphere. As I said, we have drawn the lines on the face of the earth. Earth does not think of it that way, right? So, what is starting to happen is that you are going to have reduced healthcare fees, right? The investment for healthcare is going to decrease. You are going to have positives as well. What is the positive? Well, for one, the number of road accidents are going to decrease. If you have less traffic on the road, automatically there's going to be less number of accidents. So again, you are adding to whatever healthcare investment that was required, right? And you see, it doesn't stop here. I can go on and on and on. And let me tell you a couple of more. Because you have less number of traffic on the road, that simple fact, okay, that simple fact is going to increase the mileage of your vehicle, because there is a lot less braking and accelerating. Yeah, there is a lot less clutch action, a lot less brake action. You can go at a smoother speed, so it is stress free, right? And it also becomes what do you say, the mileage increases of your car, and you are going to decrease your petrol consumption. As an apartment, you are decreasing the petrol consumption. Now, don't just consider one apartment, think of all the apartments and think of the reduced cars on the road and the reduced demand for petrol. Well, your petrol price should also come down. Ideally, it should come down, shouldn't it? Because the prices are based on demand and supply, and if the demand is going to go down, petrol prices are going to come down. So that is another increased saving. So you see that I didn't do much. I just try to bring in a small change, right? Uh, I didn't do much. I changed it small. I changed it probably in the least possible fashion. I didn't because there is another principle which says that use slow and small solutions. Don't go rapid, surefire, and start doing things, because we need to have protracted observation and thinking. We are not going to be we are not going to have thoughtless immediate action, right? Because that usually can be detrimental. You need to understand nature in all its glory. Don't start thinking that nature can be understood. Yeah, today it's going to rain, today it's not going to rain. No, even those calculations are so enormously complex that one of the only reasons that supercomputers exist is to have these kind of things, to predict, and still they do a very bad job of it. There is a joke that I read in Reader's Digest. There is a job fair happening, and a kid is just walking here and there and trying to find out. So you've got all types of people, nuclear scientists and people who have IT jobs and all that, and there is a poor old weatherman standing. Now this guy goes and says, I mean, with so many people out here, why would somebody want your position? Why would somebody want to be a weatherman? Now, that's a nice question, right? Nobody aspires to be a weatherman. People want to be scientists, lawyers, industrialists, entrepreneurs, capitalists, whatever. Nobody wants to be a weatherman. So this guy says, son, just remember one thing. Being a weatherman, I have the distinct advantage, and probably only I have the advantage of being wrong more than 50% times and still not losing my job, right? So that is how weather prediction is all about. It doesn't, it doesn't take anything away from you. You, those of you are having smartphones, have you ever seen your weather app? Right? It would be saying that there is no rain expected, and suddenly it's saying that it's raining. And you can't go back to the history and say that no, dude, you were saying that there is going to be no rain. It just keeps on predicting for the future. So if it is raining, it is telling you, yeah, it is raining. Oh, of course I know it's raining, I can see it outside. Right? I want to have prediction, and the prediction is that difficult, right? So uh, what I was saying was that by making these a small change, I say that no, let's not have everybody go to the supermarket store, right? Let's send a couple of people. We are already getting back huge dividends, right? But in permaculture, we simply never stop, right? Our job is never ever complete in a particular sense, because you can keep on tweaking. So in that sense, we are very thankful to our clients who actually impose the limit on us, because just like nature, once we are on the positive spiral, we just keep on becoming better and better. Okay, so what we do, just imagine, because we are making these kind of savings, let's try to employ somebody. There is no need for one of us apartment. Yeah, and my mentor DJ says, yeah, there's a reduced demand for cars themselves. Yeah, exactly. And reduced demand for cars means there is more space for parking, and that means you have I mean, maybe parking fees also decreased because parking fees are uh, a bit exorbitant, right? So you could have reduced parking fees as well. So that is again saving money. Now, coming back to what I was saying that we can have a person employed, right? So we can create a job, right? So we can just by channeling our thoughts in a proper way, we are able to create a job because we are already making considerable savings, right? Are we not? And we and that person, right, he can go to the supermarket and get stuff for us, right? And now, mind you, this is better than some of the things that you see online. Now, there have been a lot of online deliveries of things happening. So you've got Amazon-like services happening all over. But unfortunately, I order from whenever I'm ordering online, and suppose I order two products, right? Now, I really don't mind waiting a day extra, but I get one product on one day, another product on another day, based on the delivery times that I have been told of. But that poor guy has to make two trips, right? And so there is still that optimization that needs to be done. And what this does is that again, it's again, it seems to be distributed. People, I mean, the architecture, the system seems to be distributed, but still it is of no use because there are going to be, again, it's like me going and buying, the other person is coming and giving it to me. That's the only advantage that I see of these delivery mechanisms. There is not much positivity happening in that area. Okay, so coming back to what I was saying, I have employed a person for the apartment who is going to the supermarket and getting things for me, and from whatever I am saving, because I don't need to go, I'm able to pay him. So that means I'm able to create a job. Now, let's not stop here because, as I said, I am into rooftop gardening, I am into urban abundance. I say that the apartment owners start growing a bit of their food, right? So they start greening things. So they have their own produce coming up. They are growing microgreens, they are growing green veggies, and you can grow a lot even in your balcony, right? You can grow lots and lots. And on your apartment terrace, which is supposed to be common property, uh, you could again grow lots of stuff for the whole community. So don't think of apartments as spaces. Again, don't think of an apartment only as a place for living, only as a place where you keep your stuff, right? No. You can use it for a lot different places. Couple of people have been joining me from I think not from India, and if you are from Western countries, you would be aware of the fact that people grow food in their homes. If you have a tube light like this, and which is very unfortunate in a place like India where we have abundance of natural sunlight, at 11:30 in the morning, I still need to depend on a tube light. So you could grow food under grow lights growing just next to you, right? So you could grow food at home, and the person whom you have employed could now act as a two-way channel. He comes, takes whatever is extra at a price, probably sells it to the apartment dwellers, and probably gives back whatever is extra to the supermarket. Right, now this can be significant. Why? Because your supermarket is usually getting groceries from quite a distance. But all the apartment owners take a pledge that no, we are trying to grow as much food as we can. And those who are blessed with an individual apartment, those who have front yard, backyards, and huge rooftop places, now those people, right? Now those people can actually start having abundant gardens. They can start growing things abundantly, and they can actually start giving it to this person who can go to the supermarket and sell it there. So what is happening is, yeah, you are creating another level, another incentive for the person who's there, and you in one shot are able to Get organic food for yourselves. It can't get easier than this, can it? Right? You are growing your own, very own organic food, right? So you no longer have to depend on people from outside supplying it to you, to the supermarket, right? Now, a supermarket does need to also have some kind of air cooling requirements and all that which are required, right? So you are again reducing the expenditure or the investment that is required, because the supermarket really does not need to store the green grocery for any longer than it is required, because in a community slowly you will understand how much what all is required and what all is getting consumed, because you are staying in the same area, you are going to consume more or less the same kind of things. So you could probably have reduced uh, power requirements. So again, that goes as a saving, maybe not directly for you, but for the state, but for the nation. So you have surplus electricity which could be put to good use, couldn't it be? Right? So just by adding one more element, one more meaningful element, I have been able to create diversity. I have been able to create resilience. Yes, I have been able to create resilience. How? Because you are growing your own food. You don't need to depend on the price fluctuations as well as the transportation of vegetables from outside. And do you know how much it costs to grow food at your home? Not much. Definitely not the kind of prices that you pay outside. You have a small initial investment, but that investment is going to last with you for quite a number of years. Right? So, again, more economic savings. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm just trying to highlight on economic savings, because once you start getting economic savings, you can start putting that money into other things. So suppose you as an apartment is able to save money, you could now start having your own rainwater harvesting, right? Okay, now many apartments don't have rainwater harvesting, and that is because nobody knows how to get money for it, or probably those kind of considerations were not thought of while designing the apartment. And now it seems like an additional expenditure, but you could have your own pure water being stored, and you know from where you are getting water. And let me tell you, bore water is not good. Your rainwater, you can slightly purify it if you think that there is too much pollution in the air, and that would be good, because rainwater is aerated water, good water. The water which is coming from your bore well, I'm not too sure what it is getting mixed with, because lots of things are being dumped underground. So you see, you are going in a positive spiral once you start taking things in your hand. And that is precisely what permaculture lets you do. It gives you that basic knowledge, it gives you that design thinking, the thinking which is usually missing from whatever we conventionally learn in schools and in colleges and even in our professional lives. So it gives you that armory. So you have all different types of weapons for attacking, and you have a design, so you can tackle all these problems at one go, because you have the design, the strength of a design, right? So you have, as I was saying, now this person whom you have employed, now he could probably start selling seedlings. So you see what is happening. You are building up local resilience. That's why in permaculture we rely a lot on local resilience, because you can understand the needs of your locality better. And local governance, as you would have seen in that permaculture flower, is what really is required. Okay, so you have plenty at your place, you have plenty in your community. Now, there might be a few communities which might not be blessed with land or something. Now, you have surplus which was created on your terrace. You know that it costs pretty less. Now, you could sell it at a rate, or you could even give it off freely, as ML Kumari Garu is saying. She's saying on the chat that we are distributing freely. Exactly, that's what nature forces you to do, because you start getting enormous amounts of produce. You put one banana plant, you are a family of three, you would have a hard time eating all those bananas until unless you are a banana lover. right? You start growing spinach in one round of spinach, one season of spinach, that is about 21 to 30 days. I got 14 kgs. Now, can I ever eat that? Even my whole community will have difficulty in eating that. So you need to start giving it out. It could be based on a monetary basis. It could be done freely, right? The point is that you are able to share the surplus in a highly densely populated urban area, which usually is thought good for nothing. So in urban areas, you've got huge density of population, so you are creating lots of human waste. Yeah, lots of human waste which people don't know what to do, and it keeps going into rivers and lakes and spoiling that. No, no, that can be converted into manure. We could try some kind of a things where we probably some kind of biogas was also being released, right? So you could have manure being created that being used as compost, because once you are eating organic and not the typical junk food, which is God knows which is what it is made of, the sewage is going to be better, right? So you could start thinking of things like that. So there is in permaculture a saying, as I said, problem is the solution, right? You have something in excess, not a problem. The problem is that you don't know what to do with it. You just need to find those meaningful connections. So I was talking of elements in permaculture. What we do is uh, we we start connecting elements. How? The input to an element, the output which comes from the element gets connected to another element. So whenever you are able to link elements like this, that the output of one element goes and gets connected to the input of another element, and the output from this element becomes the input to another, you never have any wastage. And you know what? In permaculture, we have a very different definition for pollution. By pollution, we mean something which does not find any input. So you could have lots of food, lots and lots of food, but if you don't have enough people to eat it or enough life systems to consume that, that is going to rot. And yeah, because it is natural, it is probably going to become turn into compost and all that, but it is a pollution, it is going to stink. So you need to have those kind of input output relationships seen beautifully, right? So once you start understanding elements, once you start understanding the way in which inputs and outputs work, man, you are already on the path to having meaningful diversity. So take a case of a typical farm, right? In a typical traditional Indian farm, and when I mean traditional, I don't mean the tradition for the last 40 years, I mean the tradition before that, before green revolution took place. You used to have a cattle shed. People did have cattle. Nowadays, nobody has cattle. And you had your farm, you had your house, and they were all pretty much seamlessly linked. So, what used to happen? Whatever extra food that you had in your house, right? Now, that went as an input to your cattle, because cattle can eat a bit of whatever has been cooked, especially rice, it can take. Okay, now cattle is going to give you cow dung. Now cow dung can be used for a variety of purposes. Variety of purposes. Cow dung can be used for making the floor of your house. It can be dried. It can so that it becomes a fuel, and it definitely becomes a very good manure, especially if you are feeding the cattle right. If you are feeding the cattle right, it is the manure that you are going to get is going to be of extremely high quality. So that becomes useful to your farm. So from your farm, whatever agricultural waste that you have, that is your hay and all those things, your husk that is there, you get it, it becomes a feed for the cattle. Cattle gives milk, cattle also helps in transportation of things, right? So you see how dynamically the whole situation was. Now, just for comparison's sake, today we have that neatness. Cattle shed should be there. Cattle shed house should be here. This should be there. What happens? You are not able to have meaningful relationships between these different elements, and then what happens is you need to carry the manure from one place to another place. So you need to do work. When you are doing work in permaculture, that means you have not been able to put the inputs and outputs in the correct appropriate places, right? So this is the lovely design thinking that you start getting once you are into permaculture, right? This is a great necessity for the society, and this is one of the main reasons why we got into permaculture. So, a couple of years back, in 2009, my mentor and friend Dwarkanath Gnaneshwar, uh, more popularly or probably easily called DJ, he introduced me and a couple of my friends to the concept of permaculture, because I am electronics and communication engineer, an undergrad in that. Then in my list of friends, I have Upendra as a civil engineer, then Dwarkanath as a bachelor's of computer applications. He was and is a professional 3D animator. Then rest of my friends consists of a wide spectrum of people, all equally clueless at one point of time. So we were thinking of how we could be self-sufficient in food, and that was the time that we found out that we simply could not be too sure of many things. So we don't know where the food is coming from. So we don't know what we are eating, and we were actually seeing the signs of old age in us. So we were already witnessing that we were having joint pains, backaches, headaches, all happening pretty continuously. So we knew that something needed to be done, something needed to be fast, because the next generation was coming up. Uh, I had my nieces coming up, so they were born in about 2000, 2001. So they were pretty young, and we started getting worried as to what we were feeding them. And that was the time that we came across this wonderful field called permaculture, and how uh, it was the solution. So we were watching videos of Bill Mollison and of Sepp Holzer. Later we started getting to know of who Jeff Lawton is and other prominent permaculturists. So we started understanding what this thing is all about, and we started creating uh, urban abundance, because we are still staying in cities, and permaculture thinking does not say that no, you go to the farm and there only you can be productive. No, staying in an urban area, how can we reduce our dependence, how can we reduce the external inputs, and how can we create abundance where we are? So with that ideology, we started setting up rooftop gardens, and uh, that's not it. Right now, Dwarkanath DJ started setting up homeschooling, because you see, my dad is a doctorate. He was a professor, head of the department, and other things at IIT Delhi. My mother was head of the department in biology in a very good school in Delhi. That's where I was born and brought up. Now I'm staying in Hyderabad. So I was born in North, now in South. And my sister is a PhD in endocrinology. My brother-in-law is a PhD in chemical engineering, and my other sister is a master's in English, in arts, as well as in business administration. And in our group, we've got army officers, we've got entrepreneurs, we've got professionals, we've got people who are well educated. Now, why do we need to send kids of our community to schools outside? There is simply no reason. You can't find better qualified people than us, is what Dwarkanath DJ's attitude was, and so true. So he started homeschooling. So we started, in a particular sense, creating pockets of our own abundance right where we are. So, permaculture, we were already into a bit of systems thinking. We were trying to think a bit beyond what was being portrayed in the mainstream. But uh, once we had the power of permaculture with us, and the approach that it provides, the methodology that it gives. So at that point of time, we understood that we had come across something really nice. So we started embracing it as soon as we got into it, and I did my PDC in 2013, uh, 2012, and we started conducting couple of PDCs, started telling to people about introduction to permaculture, started talking to people about how they could grow abundance in their own urban spaces, started talking to farmers and convincing them that they need to understand the benefits of design and not just look at one or the other this thing. So as permaculturists, we really started spreading the word on what permaculture is and the strength of the system. So we started our own food forest in just 200 square yards. Right, these are normal housing plots that we had, and you could watch my another video, creating abundance, where I talk more about it. But we were using permaculture principles to their maximum, because we were having huge banana trees and papayas and other things growing all beneficially together, in a way where today we don't even have to water it. So Dwarkanath DJ has planned it so beautifully that there is absolutely no watering required. It just survives on whatever rainwater comes, and this time, due to the El Nino effect, watering has been scarce, but still the garden is on its way to sustainability. So we developed two such forest gardens in a city, right? And we are getting huge amount of produce every day from our rooftop gardens. So permaculture works, and permaculture needs to spread, uh, is something which for us requires no second thought. So for us, the permaculture teaching, permaculture theory, and permaculture implementation actually goes sorry for that, actually goes hand in hand. It is not separate. So you see, Bill Mollison says that permaculture, he says that you need that permaculture, we work with nature, and he says that we need to look at things in all their yield and in all their functions, and that is the supposedly the theoretical side of it. Whereas Homegrown starts saying that you can start getting your own food, fiber, and buildings requirement from through permaculture. So I see it as one as a theory, one as an implementation, both going hand in hand, and that's what we are doing. So as a group, we are trying to introduce permaculture by conducting permaculture courses. This would be Dwarkanath's fourth permaculture design certificate course. This would be the first time I and Upendra Sri Sainath, would be wearing the dawn of teachings, right? So we would be teaching permaculture because we have been associated with quite a few projects in the past 1 or 2 years. We are doing a couple of farm projects. I have almost taken a plot where I am planning to do that, and really trying to stretch the limit, because I want it to be a model for the farmers. Right, so I'm just looking at the kind of inputs that they can give, and trying to design a farm. Similarly, Upendra is doing a couple of permaculture things, and we are all trying to do things in urban as well as at farmland scale. Right, so we understood that the society requires designers. I gave an example of how a person can go and sell stuff, and probably that person can start giving us food and all that. I was talking about the vegetables and stuff in the apartment example, supermarket example. One of the persons, I think Pavan, uh, mentioned that in olden days that's what used to happen. Yeah, exactly. In olden days, we were having pretty good local things happening. Now, the example that I have given might not be generic. It need not be generic because that is the power of permaculture. I'm just trying to tell you the thought process that is there behind it. So, we require lot many more people in permaculture talking about permaculture, designing permaculture, because there are lots of places which need to be taken care of. We need to provide, we need to go there and we need to start doing things because, as I said in the beginning, the responsibility is in our hands, and especially once you are a designer. Um well, the whole world is yours. You really need to go to all sorts of places and start making things better. And a permaculture design certificate course equips you for that. Right? We require permaculture practitioners, right? But far more important today is to have people who can talk, who can tell, who can design permaculture. That is what we require today, and that is why we are conducting a permaculture design certificate course, because that is going to equip you with uh, the tools, the methodology, the thought process of how you can go and start designing. Now, India is a big place. It's a huge place. Now, we might not recognize it on the map, but India is huge, and we've got lots of different climates. Lots of different climates. You've got snow in Jammu, Kashmir, Himachal. Then you have desert. Then you have the wonderful forests on the Western Ghats. Then you have delta in West Bengal. Then you have uh, pockets in Andhra and in Telangana and other regions where there is lot less rainfall. Then you have the Godavari district in Andhra where you are getting huge amounts of rainfall. Right? We have got all these kind of different places which requires a different design, and we require people going to all these places and talking and designing farms. So, permaculture design certificate course, this is what it does. Right. So, I'll tell you quickly about what permaculture design course, what it's going to contain, and what is special in the course that we are doing. If you have got any questions in your mind, start getting prepared with that, because with this, uh, I will start taking questions. Okay. Now, the Permaculture Design Certificate course is a 72 hours intensive course. This is based on what Bill Mollison has subscribed to. Not many people know that um, to be a permaculture designer, and even to use the term permaculture for any sort of business, you need to have done your permaculture design certificate course, because permaculture is a copyrighted word. That is how Bill Mollison envisaged it, because he did not uh, uh, he did not want permaculture to fall into, let's say, wrong hands and become like another set of college education which really nobody is serious about. Okay, so permaculture design certificate course, you can see in front of you the different topics that we are going to discuss. And the first thing is introduction to permaculture ethics and principles, a bit of what I've spoken, because simply I could have taken 2 or 3 days in telling you the principles itself because they are so wonderful, so wonderful. Then you go into concepts and themes, then methods of design. So here is when you start actually getting your let's say hands dirty, because you really get in to the thick and thin of what design is and how what the methodology regarding that is. Then you come into patterns and pattern application. Now this is the heart of permaculture, right? And it's very beautifully, it's going to be extremely beautifully taught in our PDC, because Dwarkanath really loves this topic, and in the PDC that I have attended, he can take quite a bit of a time trying to explain patterns and their application. And then comes climate analysis and landscape profiles. So here we start talking about the different types of climates, because as a designer you need to be equipped not just with the local situations and the local things, but you need to be understanding how the climate works in the different parts of the region, because nobody simply knows where you might be doing your permaculture projects. So you are equipped to take up projects in any part of the world. It's not just that you do your PDC here, so you can only do things here. No, you are taught the general design methodology. You are taught of different climates in different parts of the world, so that you can actually go to any place and just start doing your design work. Okay, so then comes trees and their energy transactions. So when we talk of trees, we start talking of forests as well. And forests, I have talked a bit about it, but you are going to learn a lot more about it. Then we talk of water, then we talk of soil and soil building mechanisms, we talk of earthworks and earth resources, we talk of climatic factors and design, we talk of aquaculture and gardening strategies. So we have lots of gardens here, and you can learn quite a bit from us, because lots of people are doing it, and you can understand how to actually start having abundance right where you are. Okay, now then you have restituting damaged landscapes, broadacre regeneration. Now this is the highlight of our course, right? There is another highlight of our course, that is permaculture in the Indian scenario, challenges and solutions. India, as I said, is home to a wide array of climates and a wide array of damaged landscapes as well. So you really need to understand how to restore damaged landscapes, because the land could be so barren that you need to understand how to even trigger it back to life. Okay, so if you have too much of grazing happening, and simply what starts happening is that nothing grows, you have created a man-made desert. You need to understand how you need to start doing the design there. And in the chat room, DJ is saying something really nice. He's saying, yeah, trees are the essential link between Earth and humans. Absolutely, absolutely. So we will be talking about all these things when we talk about trees and their energy transactions and forests. Okay, so coming back to the syllabus, we will talk about ecological house and habitat design. See, permaculture is about habitat design. Permaculture is about settlement design. So you need to understand how to create ecological houses, how best you can do that, and from there your design exercise starts. Now, see, there is a requirement that you submit your design exercise, because that is compulsory, that has been made mandatory by Bill Mollison himself, so that you have a hands-on uh, knowledge of what design methodology is all about. So you see, even during your design certificate course, you start getting the actual flavor of what design is. So then we start talking of alternative technologies, the different kinds of technologies which could be done or made locally, and They could be lessening our footprint, at least at the local scale. So we will be discussing about alternate technologies. Then we will be also talking of urban permaculture strategies, because many people are staying in urban places. So as I was saying, that you need to have the abundance where you are. So we'll be talking a bit of those permaculture strategies. Then we talk of people systems and permaculture nation. Right. Now, Bill Mollison says something absolutely beautifully. He says that you don't really need to stay at one place to be called a nation. If people have the same ideology, right? If people have the same ideology, they could be far and still be a nation, right? Now, this concept would be understood by a couple of people in the chat room. You need not be physically present, right? But if you are there in the spirit, that could actually be quite helpful. So, what happens is you embrace permaculture philosophy and you get access to wide variety of friends all over uh, the place, right? We are, as I said, the world's largest aid organizations, and permaculturists cooperate with each other. We don't compete with each other. So what happens is that we have got our fraternity, our brotherhood, which is there in all the parts of the world. So in that sense, we are together in spirit, and wherever we are required, we just drop in, because we try to serve the mother earth, right? We serve the earth. Our client is Gaia, as Bill Mollison says. So whenever earth requires our help, wherever it requires our help, we are there. So when we talk of alternate permaculture global nation, you will be looking at all these things and understanding the true value of permaculture. Then and yeah, there is a slight misconception that people start having, that yeah, when we are talking of ecological house, people think that yeah, one or two types of house are taught of some kind of a dome house or some kind of a bamboo house. No, 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 no. As I'm saying, uh, you need to understand that we are telling you more about how human settlement takes place. We are telling you, we are making you understand about human comfort. So you are designing around that. You are not, I mean, if the need be, you design a bamboo house, but there are about 40 to 50 different types of natural traditional housings that my friend DJ can talk of. So we are going to talk of all those types of housing, all those type of traditional housings which enhance the quality of human life, right? Natural just does not mean that it comes from nature. It also means that it belongs to nature, and we all belong to nature. So it really enhances the quality of life that we have. So we look at different climates, we look at different traditions, we look at different people, and the kind of things that they are using, and we see that can we uh, include any or some of the features in our housing requirements. Okay, so this is another thing I just wanted to clarify, because DJ was mentioning that in the chat room. I just wanted it to be there on the video, because don't think that we are just going to teach you strategies, techniques. Actually, we have a very good difference between techniques and strategies. We are going beyond that. We are teaching you design, right? So it is not about it's not about should I use the color red or should I use the color green. No, it is about what do you want your painting to signify, right? So based on that, you have a design, you have a composition, you have your choice of artboards, you have your choice of brush, you have your choice of the colors and how they were made. So you would be being a master artist, right? We are going to equip you with all the types of strokes that you can have. The painting is what you would be making. It's not that we are trying to teach you only watercolor painting or only acrylic painting or only painting on glass. No, 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 no. We are going to teach you much more than that. We are going to teach you the compositional skills, the way in which you should hold a brush, the way in which you should visualize the imagery, and the way in which great masters have done it. So every day in the evening you are going to have some of the other video session where we are going to look at some of the other permaculture design properties, and the way some of the principles in the way the great masters, the people who are into permaculture for quite some time, what they need to share, and uh, videos of their farms and how they implemented it. So this is going to be a super intensive 72 hours course. Usually it is only for 12 days. For here we are trying to do it for 15 days. It is required only to be 72 hours, but we are going to stretch the limits. So if you are coming, come prepared for having a blast. It is not going to be uh, average, right? It is going to be super exciting, and have your energy ready with you, because when you go back, we want you to be designers. The day you leave our premises, we hope that you start making the world a better place. You better start doing that. That is what we expect from you. So, we are doing this because, as I said, the world is in a very bad place, in a very bad shape, and unfortunately, not many of us know of that. So, we need to make things better, and permaculture is that body of knowledge, that philosophy of thinking that we have in hand. And we are going to equip you with that. Okay, and I'm open to any questions. DJ is also there in the chat room, so if you have any questions, just shoot. And if you have no questions, you just want to chit chat, talk of some of your experiences regarding permaculture, we could do that as well, right? So I'm all open to questions, and you have any maybe if you are watching this video later on as a recorded version and you want to uh, probably send me a message or something, I'm just going to pull up another slide where my email address and stuff is given, so you can do that as well, right? Thank you. I am available at hello at gardensofabundance.org, and we are there on facebook.com/gardensofabundance.org. Our website is undergoing a bit of renovation because I never actually quite finished it. One of my permaculture friends is helping me out do that. So once that's ready, you would be getting lots more information there. So till then, use the email, use the Facebook to communicate with us. I know that there is a bit of a lag, a slight lag, and I am waiting for you, people, to ask me any questions. Yeah, I did talk about that. Upendra, and Dwarkanath, we three are going to be teaching this PDC, right? And you have heard about our history. Now, I am an electronics and communications graduate, and for the past, since 2009, I have been embracing this philosophy, trying to understand more and more of it. Upendra is a civil engineering graduate, so he understands permaculture uh, also from the civil engineering aspect of it. He loved the concept of permaculture and loved the concept of spreading abundance so much that he started a concept called Gather to Garden. So we conduct free gardening classes wherever you want us to come within the city. We come there, and we give you
hands-on demo of what rooftop gardening is all about. And thanks to him, we started this event called Gather to Garden. Uh, he's extremely passionate about permaculture and its spread. So that's about Upendra. Dwarkanath, DJ. He is the person who really got me hooked onto permaculture. He is my mentor. We are doing under him. He's the lead designer for um, a couple of projects. One of them we are doing it at Chevella, which is in Telangana, near Hyderabad, and we are doing another just outside where we stay. About 80 kilometers on the other side, we are doing another project that is near Suryapet. Both the places are pretty different, pretty different, right? So we are doing trying in Suryapet. Um, One of our common friends, he has taken a land for lease and he's trying to have a demo farm for his friend, who's a farmer. So we've got all farmers there, and they are really looking up to how permaculture stands the test of time and the test of weather. So we are doing a project there and trying to bring about that land. It's a sandy, well-draining soil, surprisingly acidic. So we are doing a project there and trying to inspire the farmers there. We have there is a small video which has been put up. We need to go there a couple of times and establish it further. Then there is another land that we have taken which is pretty difficult to handle. It is full of calcareous soil, and that is in a place called Kodad. So Dwarkanath has taken that place for lease so that we can do something there. So that is another project that we are having active there. Uh, and about Chevella, that is a mixed bag of things. It has rocky area, then it has a fertile area, then there is a slope and all that. So that is a project which we've been doing for quite some time, and we really need to go there once so that we can show you how that is doing. And that is going to be one hell of a place because we could implement lots of permaculture strategies, thinking. We could implement a lot of them there, and that is where we built our first swale. So that is a few of the projects that we have uh, currently going on. A couple of videos have been put. I'll be putting up more videos regarding that. Then we have, as I said, we have made two food forests right in the city. So that is one thing which you should come and see because without watering and the way in which you see plants growing, uh, it is a forest garden, right? That is what it is, and it has been beautifully taken care of by DJ. So we are trying to create as much urban abundance as possible uh, wherever we wherever we can. Yeah, Manasa Valicharla garu, you are asking 200 yards, square yards, I hope. So you can do rainwater harvesting, and you can yeah, definitely. Definitely, I'll talk to you more regarding that. That could be set into an extraordinary permaculture experience experiment, right? So uh, we are not just doing permaculture projects on an agricultural scale. We are also uh, into setting up renewable technologies. So we have a setup where we also try to help install, and we provide the solar PV panels so that we can try to reduce the dependence on the electricity which is coming from outside. Um, so there have been a lot many things that we have been doing on the urban scale, really lots. And on a farm level scale, lots of things are going on, lots of things are in pipeline. So a bit more bio regarding what we have done and all that. I'll just consolidate it and put it soon so that you can understand us much better and really understand the love that we have for permaculture. Right. Are there any more questions? Yeah. Uh, how difficult, maybe easy was your journey? See, the journey. Crooning Glory has asked, how difficult or maybe easy was your journey? Uh, the journey, usually, I would say it was interesting. Okay, I wouldn't like to say that it was easy or hard because, yeah, it could be a bit hard if you're trying to have an 18-day compost, right? So we have actually tried out lots of stuff in permaculture. We have tried out the 18-day hot compost, and we found out that it is a wonderful um, compost that can be made out of it, right? So it could be hard a couple of times, but we were transitioning it into a bit smoothly, so that really helps you so that you don't get any shocks, right? Because you need to understand the philosophy, you need to understand the thinking behind it, because once you have your thinking in the correct place, what happens is that everything falls into place. Design is all about purpose, right? You don't have a purpose, uh, you can't have a design. So once you start getting your purpose clearer, the journey starts becoming smoother and smoother to such an extent that it actually becomes your second nature. Now that could take a bit of time, but you simply those principles simply start getting imbibed, and you can, as I said, you can start seeing solutions where there are problems, and there is a there is a small anecdote of Bill Mollison which would be helpful in this case. So one person goes to Bill Mollison and says that, Bill, I've got a ranch. I've got lots of grass growing there where I want my cattle to breed. I basically eat that grass, but I am having locust, and that is eating away the grass. I mean, those plants which are there. What do you want me to do? So Bill Mollison says, okay, it's not that uh, that you have a um problem with the locust, right? It is that you have, it's not the excess of locust that you have, but rather it's a deficiency of ducks that you have. So you see, the problem becomes a solution. So once that person introduced ducks, the ducks would eat the locust, right? So the grass is not disturbed, the cattle can have their free range, but in this process you have introduced ducks, right? Because there was duck food. Now ducks will start giving you eggs. So what happens? You have got an extra yield, right? So uh, in permaculture, once you start understanding it, the problem becomes the solution, and it becomes your second hand nature. So can we do some form of permaculture on the crooning glory? I hope that answers your question. We've had a bit of ups and downs because, especially on the farm. I mean, on the in understanding the rooftop, in understanding the forest gardens, because once there was a huge hailstorm and we got a lot of our produce lost because the smaller the system you have, the difficult it is uh, to have all the principles of permaculture working. It becomes a bit difficult because you have already made a choice, right? So once you've already made a wrong choice, that is what Bill Mollison calls as type 1 error. You need, I mean, you start having problems. So in that sense, yeah, we lost a lot of produce to that. Then the first time we were doing it, we got lots of pests and all that. So those are the only kinds of small setbacks that we've had. But otherwise, the journey, the more you understand permaculture, the more you understand the vision that Bill Mollison gives you, the happier the journey is, the easier the journey is. Now, uh, Divya Anusha, you are asking how frequently do you conduct this course? I'll not be able to take it. Divya Anusha, we actually conduct this mm twice a year, at least twice a year we do that. We are also planning to have it on weekends, right? Because not many people can come for an intensive 15-day session, because we do understand that you would have to make lots of changes to your own schedule. And if you are having a job, then getting a leave for 15 days can be difficult. So we are thinking of a weekend uh, permaculture design certificate course as well. So if you are interested, or probably it is easier for you to take that, do let us know, because once we have the enough strength, we can actually start that course, because some of our friends have approached us the last time itself, and we did the last PDC way back in Jan or March we did that. And Jan, I think people approached us that time itself, so we already have quite a few people. If you are interested, we could announce it as and when we deem it fit, right? Uh, Krishnan Sako Tai, you're asking, so I guess the trick is to understand the relationships rather than the location and type of group. Um, I think it's a continuation of what you are trying to say. Okay, type of ground. Yeah, there are a lot many things. There are a lot many things that go on in this. So simply put, yeah, you could say that understanding the relationships is a trick in a certain sense, because we are trying to have lots of meaningful relationships. But again, the point of meaningful relationships comes from the design that we are trying to do. And the beautiful thing about permaculture is that land actually tells you what it can offer. That is beautiful, because the land, you can't go beyond what the land can do, right? So land starts telling you what you can do. So in that sense, what happens is that uh, you look at things like climate, you look at things like winds, you look at things like sun. Sun path, you look at the kind of heat that you are getting there, you look at all these things. And these things also get applied at a micro scale. Don't think that they are only applicable at a huge scale. They do get they are applicable even at a small scale. And we are even on a rooftop, they are applicable. Right? So don't think that those things could be bypassed. If you are thinking like that, these things are applicable at any scale. uh, Baba Firdoz, I remember you right from the first session that I did. Uh, so you didn't ask anything then at that point of time. Uh, and Yeah, I think we should be having PDC for weekends being decided pretty soon, because we are seeing a lot of interest in that. Yeah, why not? Why not? And thanks for your support, by the way. Crooning Glory, we are thinking of an online PDC as well. Lots of things actually. What happens is that we suddenly get flowed with lots of work, and that is why some of the things take a bit of time to implement. But online PDC uh, and weekend PDCs and regular PDCs. These are just some of the things that we are just trying to look at our own time schedules, because we have committed to a couple of projects which also need to be taken care of. So we don't want any site to be lost at, and I didn't discuss about the urban projects that we have. There are lots of people who have asked us to come and set up their rooftop gardens, which we are having to say no, because simply we need to first schedule all the things. So pretty soon I think we would be able to put all these things in place. We've already started lots of things getting ready, so just hope for good news coming out real soon. Crooning glory, crooning glory, thanks for your compliments. uh, yep, exactly, Krishnan Sakotai. uh, when the scale becomes a bit unnatural as it could be on rooftop, yep, you can't make it completely sustainable, but that does not mean that it needs to be the way it is right now. Okay, so uh, it need not be like that. Yep, Krishnan Sakotai, and that's a very, very good point that you have maintained. Not everyone has land, so we need to implement a version of permaculture wherever we have space to grow, maybe only on our terrace or small backyard. See, each place has its own advantages, and as I said, don't try to restrict the thought of permaculture to just as applicable to gardening, right? Uh, Probably you don't have to think that you are alone. There would be quite a few people who are there having farmlands or having access to backyards, uh, a bit bigger backyards. So what happens is that when you have a meaningful relationship with those people, you are increasing the diversity and hence the stability, and hence you are getting the benefits uh, for your rooftop garden as well as for the other person's backyard garden as well, right? Okay, crooning glory. This is a very nice question. I think DJ could be uh, DJ could be answering that better. What are you have asked? What would be the minimum team size needed for any project? Uh, I'm expecting DJ to answer, but just a quick 2 cents from my side. Uh, it all depends on the size, and it all depends on the design, and it all depends on the support that you have. Of course, having a good team, a large enough team can help you uh, uh, basically create a more stable environment, in the sense provide more resilient if suppose you are not able to grow and go and take care of the projects there, uh, what is happening on the land. So you need to understand a permaculture project, not just in terms of the establishment time that is required or the establishment phase. You also have to look at the other phases which follow that. So probably the first time you go there and you are just trying to implement the mainframe design as it is called, for a property of size of a hectare, that is around 2.5 acres or 3 acres, probably one person is good enough. You might take support of one or two labor, or whatever help that you have there on the farm, because for planting and all that you probably would be expecting somebody else to do it. So in that case, that is okay. So if you have got a good enough farm support, a good designer can actually wrap it up himself, right? But what happens is, when you have a huge project and lots of projects running along, what you will find is that having a team which could go in your absence. Of course, I'm not saying a junior team or people of your same caliber who can take care of the things which are happening there would really be helpful, because in that way you could be teaching a PDC, and one of your teammates could be doing the project there. So in that sense, yeah, it depends on the project. Yeah, and DJ comes out with a very nice figure. He says that it depends on the project, but five people team is the average on the designer's side. Can you make, yeah, if you can make your question a bit elaborate, because as I said, these questions are a bit site specific and a bit difficult to answer otherwise. You, Pratap, thanks for knowing that you'll be joining us in the next PDC course. Do you mean to say that you won't be joining the November one? Just be a bit clear. Uh, I'm not so sure what you mean by that. Divya Anusha, you have asked about the fee details. The fee details are mentioned in Facebook, where you can find that. The fee details are 25,000 for the 15 days intensive hands-on permaculture design certificate course. Okay. Anyways, you Pratap, uh, thanks for letting us know that you would be joining us on our next PDC course. If you can just send a small email or a message on Facebook, we would just include you in the list of entries that we would be needing to contact when we are doing our next permaculture design certificate course. Oh. Okay, you Pratap, definitely we'll let you know when we are planning the next PDC. Crooning Glory, I hope um your question is answered. Yeah, DJ, DJ, I've answered her question. I'm getting your chat ahead of you getting my audio. Okay, and by the way, the Permaculture Design Certificate course is going to be based on this book, but not just on this book. We've got lots of material ready for you to inspire you, for you to really understand the value of permaculture. But essentially, this would be your course textbook. No need to buy it because most of the things would be explained in detail. And still, if you would want to have the book, you can order it from Tagari. Okay, Tagari Publications. Yeah, I'm not sure. The Yeah, Manasa Valicharla garu, Divya Anusha, and DJ. The fees is 25,000 rupees, all inclusive of your food, your accommodation, and the tuition. So, the Permaculture Design Certificate course, which is going to happen from November 9th to November 23rd, 15 days intensive course, the fees is 25,000 Indian rupees. Crooning Glory, where do you stay? And okay, just to keep the video a bit active, this is a nice picture of Bill Mollison, right? So I showed a bit serious picture of Bill Mollison. This is the nice, happy picture. I like it. Okay, I think I'll sign off. I thank you all for joining me, and if my presentation on introduction to permaculture has been effective, if you've liked it, please do mention in the comments below. It feels nice to hear when people are getting inspired. Okay, so with this, I'll call it a day, and I hope that there is still enough of Sunday left so that you can do a bit of gardening work and probably read up a bit on permaculture. So I'll be putting a couple of links which would be helpful to you on understanding what permaculture is. So yeah. Uh, Yeah, Divyanusha, the recording is going on, and the recording will be available as soon. It is available right now. It will be available, so that's not an issue at all. VSSR Kumar Garu, uh, thank you if I helped you in clarifying your queries. And yep, crooning glory. It would be nice to know your real name, and we would definitely let you know whenever we are doing. Thanks to you all. I'll take leave and leave. Maybe join you a bit on the chat room. Thanks again for joining me online.